Now we're going to move swiftly on to a rather intriguing title, Nano-tech elevates cannabinoids. Well, cannabinoid. It's easy for you to say, not for me. Okay, and we're going to hear from Yaron Shoob, who's the CEO of his company. Thank you very much. Warm welcome, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I'm very excited to present you with Elixie in the giant event, specifically in the UK. Not everyone aware, but the UK, I'm coming from Israel. The UK and Israel are world pioneers where it comes to cannabinoid medicine. And this is the reason that our first international launch will be next year here in the UK. So the cornerstones, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. The cornerstones of cannabinoids research for medicine started in '64 by the discovery of the isolation of the tetrahydrocannabinol, THC. And in '85, the same person, Professor Meshulam, discovered the endocannabinoid system in '88, which leads to the first cannabinoid medicine, dronabinol. It wasn't a great success until GW Pharmaceuticals, UK-based medicine developer, started to study cannabinoids for medicine purposes, for medical purposes in '98. The first really medicinal product based on cannabis was launched by GW Pharmaceuticals, and in 2010, it was Sativex. Nabiximols is the name of the API, and it's for the treatment of spasticity related to MS. And the first botanical cannabinoid drug approved by the FDA was a Pedialex in 2018 for treatment-resistant epilepsy. So what we are trying to do in Elixie is to push it one step farther. So the current state in 2022 is that already 30 countries globally approved the access for registered cannabinoid drugs, I mean only for registered drugs, for the indications of epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, and in different territories also for chronic pain and for nausea in the US, for chemotherapy-induced nausea. The market is $1.1 billion in revenue in 2022, and the growth rates really demonstrate the increased adoption of clinicians to use cannabinoids in their treatment toolbox. Generally speaking, medications consumed orally. So almost 90% of the medications that we will find in our cabinet will be for oral administration. Therefore, it's not surprising then that all the 5 cannabinoid medications are for oral consumption. But what is the problem with it? Cannabinoids' molecule structure and their hydrophobic nature leading to poor oral absorption. This results in slow onset, low bioavailability, means only small portion of the dose consumed actually reach the blood system. And maybe the most concerning fact is the inconsistent absorption. In our studies, we saw a huge range of variance in absorption. It can reach to more than 200%. And the main reason for it is before and after food intake. This leads, obviously, to a lot of safety issues. Our solution is Nano-Lix. Nano-Lix is a nanotechnology specifically designed for the enhancement of oral absorption of cannabinoids, leads to fast onset, higher bioavailability, and consistent absorption and predictable effect. Nanolix technology is SNED's self-nano-emulsifying drug delivery system. It's a composition that, when it comes into contact with water or the aqueous environment at the GI, encapsulate the cannabinoids, create spheres around it, which protect it from enzymes, and also increase the surface area, enhance the absorption, and lead to fast onset, higher bioavailability. Bioavailability means you can reach the efficacy in lower doses, and consistent absorption, therefore predictable effect. The patent status, we already granted patent here in the UK for our first patent, and the second is already granted in the EU, soon will be submitted in the UK as well. So what is the basis for all our claims about the pharmacokinetics? The Nanolix is extensively studied in preclinical and clinical studies, resulted in 6 peer-reviewed publications for all those specific benefits that I just mentioned about the technology itself. Regarding the product, so we talked about technology. Now this is the 2 pioneer products that we are aiming to launch. The first will be launched here next year. Here also we are going in the steps of the same giants, targeting the same indication, taking the same API and encapsulate it with our technology. So the first product will be Elidiol. Elidiol is CBD as an anticonvulsant medication for the same rare forms of epilepsy that been approved. And the second is Elinol, a combination of THC and CBD for spasticity related to MS. Our product pipeline, we have already approved for clinical safety and efficacy study in Israel. It will be the 4th clinical study for the technology, but the first one with those actual products, with the final product. And we will execute it early next year, hopefully in 1 month or 2. This will be the first product. It may look like another product in the market, one of the pioneer, the blockbuster CBD product for epilepsy. 100 milligram per milliliter of CBD, perform with higher bioavailability, which allow much lower dosages. The current product that being used, they actually sip oil. The dosages are very high, and we can reduce it by with the technology. But even more promising, maybe, is the consistent absorption, because it's such a sensitive patient population. You want to have a stable and predictable effect, and that's what Elidiol will provide. So the first study that I just mentioned, a pharmacokinetic studies, which will compare Elidiol with a PDLX, will set the conversion rate in order to develop an initial treatment protocol by converting the data that we have regarding PDLX for epilepsy, using the clinical data that we will generate. This will allow us to design the first titration protocol around it. What you can see here, that we're going to use, not abuse, the unlicensed pathway to launch the product in soft launch and studied it with patients in the UK, Australia, and Israel. So the second study, the study that will follow, the PK study, we wish to find collaborators, and this is actually the main reason that we arrived here, and I am presenting you with this technology. So if there are clinicians, research institutions, or any other entities that want to push forward the medicine that really targets the patients that need it the most, child epilepsy, you are more than welcome to address us and explore a potential collaboration. Thank you very much.
Sir, really, really interesting. If you have a question, just put your hand up and or far away while you're thinking about your question. I mean, I'm sure you are aware of the situation with the prescribing of cannabinoid products here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's officially it's available, but actually in practice, and I've done 2 television programs now with parents of children who are epileptic, and they're having to buy their product from Europe and bring it in. It's costing them a huge amount of money when it is actually on prescription here, but we can't get clinicians to prescribe it because they say there's not enough evidence to use it. It seems to me bonkers because there's plenty of evidence in all sorts of places, and you've got it as well. I mean, what's your sort of view of the market and that aspect of it?
Yeah, sure. This is the major challenge, and actually I can see it as a benefit for practitioner, although it creates this situation because it means the practitioners are cautious and they're concerned about the safety, which is the major issue. And this is actually what we are trying...
Can I sorry interrupt you, but is the unsafe question about the absorption, or are there other issues?
Because the unlicensed product, medical cannabis, let's say, medicinal cannabis products, because the easy way that they can reach, there are some players that maybe abused it and use a low standard product. This is exactly what we are trying to tackle, both by developing our products according to the guidelines of the European Pharmacopoeia and not jumping ahead and do clinical studies. This technology developed over a decade, and it will reach the market through the unlicensed pathway, but after 4 safety and clinical pharmacokinetic studies, and still we are not rushing into the market, and we will do a soft launch. And the point that you made regarding the lack of reimbursement, the price is a huge issue because of the lack of technology, because the current product is pretty basic, the dosage required are very high, therefore the price is very low. One of our hopes that we will succeed, and we will know it only after dispensing to actually patient, that we can dramatically reduce the required doses. This will result in a safer product, lower side effects, but also can allow us to price it in a lower price, something that can be very relevant. But we will not avoid registered product pathway. We will do it. But in order not to wait for it, we can launch the product next year, using it to reach the patient as fast as possible and to help those patients and families, actually.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of patients who benefit. Have we got any GPs here? I've only got about 30 seconds, but just be interesting to get your view on that. I'll hold the microphone for you.
Thank you. Thanks for the talk. Cannabis psychosis is probably the biggest block for prescribing. I've had personal experience of an individual who was given skunk and then jumped out of a 6th floor psychiatric window, broke his back. So there's reticence.
Yes, there you are.
I'm sorry, I only catch the fact that there in cannabis there is a...
Sorry, yeah, cannabis psychosis. It's rare, but pretty awful.
Yeah. So our first product, therefore, the psychoactive ingredient in cannabinoids, in cannabis is THC. Our first product will be THC-free. Still, there are side effects, not psychotic, which we hope to minimize by that product. THC product will require a more extensive clinical study, and therefore we are not rushing and using this unlicensed pathway for the THC product, and only for the CBD and THC-free product.
We're going to have to end it there, but a little interesting side effect that might interest you. We have a new Secretary of State for Health just been appointed. Her husband is the chief executive of the British Sugar Company. And the British Sugar Company, of course, have a small company that is in the sector of producing medicinal cannabis. So I don't know really what their breakfast table conversations might be like, but it might be beneficial for you. Can we give them a big round of applause? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It was very interesting. Thank you. Right, we're going